Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to tonight's program about job search strategy with our frequent guest speaker, Mr. Kaleem Sayed. Before we start with the webinar, I'd like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Umber Zaidi, and I am the admin for ISGH Job Networking. We are a nonprofit committee within ISGH. Our goal is to help our community help each other to find jobs by networking and making connections. If you are interested in mentoring, please email me at the address you see on the screen, and we will get back to you. We also offer classes to everyone interested in acquiring new skills. You can visit our website, isgh.org/networking, or scan the QR code and see all the programs available. Now to start tonight's program. Many of you may recognize Mr. Kaleem from our previous webinars. He has taught us about how to write cover letters, resumes, and rebranding ourselves on LinkedIn. If you're interested in watching these videos, please visit the Job Networking YouTube channel, and you can find all the previous webinars over there. Mr. Kaleem Sayed is an experienced leadership development, executive coach, and career management professional. He has extensive global experience in diverse industries such as automotive, aerospace, oil and gas, and consumer products. In addition to that, he serves as a board member on 2 nonprofit organizations, making a real difference in people's lives. Mr. Sayed's startup, High Scholar, was a quarterfinalist in the Code Launch competition in February of this year. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kaleem.
Thank you very much, Amber. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today is March the 5th, 2022. And the topic that we have today is Job Search Strategy 2022 and beyond by using the data to your advantage. And normally we don't talk about the data when we're talking about job strategies and so forth like that. So I want to give a little bit of a different viewpoint today, and hopefully it will help you to drive your job search and job strategies. So here's a big question. How much does a polar bear weigh? Any comments, any answers? You can put it in your chat, and Sister Amber will tell us what the answer is.
We have shy people today.
Yeah. So you want to try, Sister Amber?
10 tons. I have no idea.
Okay. Wow, look at that. Somebody says 250 pounds. So really, the weight of the polar bear is enough to break the ice. So thank you very much for that answer. Appreciate it. This is the outline for today. It's why you need a job strategy and why you need data for job search, which is important. I will share with you in today's presentation some charts and graphs that will help you understand. And not only that, but where do you get the data to really strategize your job search? And of course, any takeaways that we'll share with you. I always believe that the most learning comes from interactive sessions. So I am not going to go ahead and only present the data, but I would like you to hear your questions as we are going through as well. And then either we can ask those questions or we will wait until the end of the presentation. So having said that, why you need a strategy? Well, number one, would you buy a house or a car, an expensive car, without thinking through the process? How much money do you have? What kind of car do you need? What kind of house do you need? What neighborhoods do you need in? So you have a strategy, right? How are you going to support that, the payments, or how are you going to take care of it because you're looking for good schools and taxes and so forth like that for a house? So you have a strategy. This is no different than what you would do to buy a house or a car. And so what it does for you, that it gives you, job search is a strategic initiative. You have to think through the process. Why am I doing it? Where I want a job? You just don't pack up because the job is in Montana or maybe South Dakota or something like that, right? Because you think through your not only your expertise, but also your social network that you have developed over the years. It provides you focus and a target because you know what type of job are you looking for and where are you looking for? What companies would you be want to work for? And it helps you choose the right job as a result of that. And then, of course, it takes away anxiety. Job search is really not easy because it affects not only you, but your family as well. And anxiety is very common issue in when I do my seminars, webinars, and also talk to my clients, is because you don't have something that you had before, which is a regular paycheck, and now all of a sudden the paycheck is not there. So I highly endorse and encourage you to think through this process. If you are looking for a job, have a strategy. So what to include in the strategy, right? And I'm going to talk about very fundamental things, right? Know your story and your priorities. What are your priorities? What is your story? What is your story means? What have you done in the past? What are you good at and what you would enjoy doing in future? I find clients sometimes I say, so what do you want to do? And they have no clue. Well, I've done this for 15 or 20 years, but I don't know where to go from here. So it really is very difficult when you don't know where to go or what to do in future. So it is very important to know your story. And then a part of the storytelling is, guess what? It's a resume and accomplishments and branding, which is the most important part. How do you brand yourself? What is included in the branding? Does it tell the story to somebody else? And also the next one is target the organization, not the job. Many times people who are looking for jobs, somebody tells them, say, hey, there are jobs open in XYZ corporation. Guess what? Immediately they go and apply. I hear this. I have applied to 60 or 70 jobs in the last few weeks. So part of the strategy is really targeting the organizations that you want to work for. Sometimes you don't have a good experience previously that you where you work for. A lot of pressures, a lot of travels, long drives, and so on and so forth like that. So it's very important to understand. Also, nowadays, the companies are putting initiatives such as diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are talking about remote work. They're talking about hybrid workplace and so forth like that. So all that should be part of your strategy. And that's why one company may be better than the other. Culture of the company is very important. So you may want to find out about that too. As I said, so many people, they go into the grind for these companies for many, many years. And then they come back and say, you know, I'm so relaxed now because I'm not putting 12 hours a day. I'm not working Saturdays and Sundays like I used to do that. So keep those things in mind. Think about yourself, think about your story, think about the organization you want to target. Then the next thing is use the data to make an informed decision, right? What does that mean? Where do you get the data? So data meaning where the job growth are going to be. And sometimes it is likely that depending upon chosen field, you may decide based on the facts and the data that you may have to move, or you decided to move as a family. You decide as a family to make that choice, and that is not hard. It should be taken lightly, but that happens. And I'll tell you what, I have today many links that you should be able to use, and you should be able to use the data from that link. Be strategic and persistent networker. I cannot tell you enough about that. And there are some folks who I know in this session today, they know that I like to network through LinkedIn and connections and so forth like that. Soban Jalil is one of them, and he can probably talk about that a little bit later. But networking, that is really the most important thing, because this is how you get to know where the jobs are from the people that you absolutely don't know or haven't not known for in the previously. You get to know about the company culture, are there jobs in that particular company, and so on and so forth. And so you're going to have to break that silo around you, or break that ice, so to speak. And so get out of that and be assertive. I won't say aggressive, but be assertive in connecting with people on LinkedIn. It is a great source. Now, when I talk about networking, don't limit yourself to LinkedIn only. Networking can be in a number of multiple ways, right? You're just LinkedIn is one of the sessions, but you can take it from that. Your neighborhood get-togethers, the meetups, they're all good opportunities for networking. And last but not least, have a plan. What does that mean? A basic, simple Excel worksheet that you can draw up and put down the dates, or start with the numbers, put down the dates, the company that you apply to, or the conversation, the people you met, as a matter of fact, so you can have multiple tabs that you use for different activities. One for application of the job. The second one is how many people did you meet? What is the status of your meeting? Is there any kind of correspondence from that person? Do you have a follow-up visits with that person? All those things are very, very important in having a plan. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't need to be a project manager to have a plan to identify your activities as a part of your strategy. So keep that in mind. It's very important. There you go. So we had the drum roll, right? And the drum roll is because guess what? This is March 2022. And let's go all these bullets one by one. Job gains of $1.2 million in January and February 2022 over the last months. Expect about 3 million more jobs to be added to the remainder of the year. Wow, that's huge. This will be lower than 6.7 million jobs gained in 2021, but still higher than $2 million in 2019, when the almost to the end of 2019 and early 2022 or 2020 when the epidemic started. Now, some of you know that there are recruitment difficulties. They're hampering job growth. Companies are not finding people. Companies are not finding people to work for. They are allowing. I have a couple of clients, large corporations, and guess what? The director that I was speaking to, that person is having very hard, difficult time, but the senior management is really not willing to let go of the office environment, and they will not approve the work at home or remote jobs. Finally, after 2 months of presentations and so on and so forth like that, the senior management agreed. And this is not only that one company alone, it is an industry-wide issue. The senior management is having a lot of difficulty in letting go and have people work on remote. But that is not even a consideration now. It used to be where remote work was like, can I work remotely? And they have to really think through that and allow you to work remotely, because either they needed your skills or maybe they needed your skill and you were very much in demand. So nowadays it's pretty common, remote work, hybrid work, all those kind of things. The February unemployment is 3.8. Literally, when I saw this on the ABC News the other day, I just couldn't believe. I had to rewind to check it out. 3.8. 3.8 unemployment is literally no employment, right? And so I was sharing that information with a friend of mine, and he said, "Are you sure it's for this year? Maybe, not in January or December." Unemployment rate is expected to get close to 3% by the end of the year. That is very, very interesting. So please keep these stats. I just wanted to share with you that is the rainbow at the end of the tunnel, right? And so it's very important. Now, the key is you want the job of your choice, and therefore I'm going to share with you some data, and we will go one by one, and we take your time to do that. So these are the increases in jobs in February of 2022. So keep in mind, this is over 2020, okay? So the dip where we can see was in travel arrangements and services, accommodations, ground passenger transportation, clothing stores, childcare services, arts, entertainment, recreation, food, and so forth like that. But take a look at it. Then in 2022, food and beverages starts picking up because the pandemic was going down. Financial activities, a little bit increase in that. Air transportation has started growing. People start traveling now. Professional and technical services are growing actually. And you can see the percentages wise. The biggest gain is in warehousing and storage. You know why? Because all the deficiencies we had, with lack of storage space or empty storage shelf space in the stores, is because of that. So couriers and messenger data processing service, so they're all growing at the rate which are significant, and this will change. So I just wanted to give you a glimpse of the data, and sometimes it's really good to digest it. What does it say? You know, does it affect me? Now, impact of pandemic on selected jobs. So obviously, there are a lot of other industries that affected it, but keep in mind here, the transit and ground passenger transportation, we already saw that, air transportation, travel and accommodation, and so forth like that. But at the same time, pharmaceuticals and medicine was high, computer and peripheral equipment manufacturing definitely was high, but it was difficult for companies to manufacture the product and transport product. Sometimes they had lots of inventory, however, they had difficult time to transport the product. Now, change in industry employment. So again, this is projected from 2019 to 2029, right? And it's pretty big. Now, we will have to analyze it a little bit better. So healthcare and social assistance, 1.4. This is service providing versus good manufacturing, the red and the blue, that's the difference here, obviously. And educational services is going to increase by 1.2. Professional and business services, 0.7. Also, the what is going to take a dip is wholesale trade and retail tape, of a little bit of a dip there as well. And the data, by the way, comes from www.bls.gov, and I have some hyperlinks that I should be able to share with you. Now, this is for projected percent change by selected occupational group, right? This is no different than what we saw earlier. It's a little bit of a different chart. 22.6% growth. Why? Because, you know, the baby boomers are retiring and they need assistance, they need help, and so that area is growing. However, one thing to keep in mind, that it's not well-paid jobs. So keep that in mind. Just because the particular area is growing faster and quicker doesn't mean that. Community and social services occupations, computer and mathematical occupation, and so on and so forth like that, as you can see, and you can always check it out a little bit later as well. Now, this is a very interesting chart. 6 of the 10 fastest growing occupations are related to healthcare. And for the right reason, because of the baby boomers are retiring, they need help. But again, take a look at on the left-hand side, percent change projected, 2019 to 2020, 60.7% in wind turbine service technicians. Guess what though? The jobs are only 4.3. So there have been 4,000 jobs only. The biggest job gain is going to be 1.6 in, guess what? It's a home healthcare. But when you look at the money that they provide, is not very much. So that's why the data is so important. You don't want to close your eyes and just get into something that without knowing what the projections are going to be. And this is a very good projection. So tons of jobs here, that is no relationship with the kind of money, median income that provides. So median income is high, obviously, in nurse practitioners, as well as the medical and health services managers, and of course, physician assistant. That's a very good area to get into for some people. Information security analysts, they are really, really in demand. And so think about that as well. Now, this chart shows very interestingly enough that as you grow higher, so again, I need to give you a little bit of preamble on this one here, that not everybody is interested in going to college to get the better money. But if you're thinking about it, that should I get my master's or should I get my bachelor's, this chart will help you. That every stage will help you to grow your money. And so this is very important. If you have high school diploma versus if you have some college or maybe associate and bachelor's degree, your income accordingly increases. So it is very important to think through the process. If you are thinking about now, there are too many options online free educational services that are available, free courses are available. If you're thinking about, if you cannot afford maybe or don't have time to go to get a bachelor's or master's degree, guess what? There are free courses that are available. Udemy is one, and of course, MIT offers a lot of courses free of charge. So check it out. That's something to think about. So now, where do you go to get the data? And this is why I'm going to go ahead and click on it here, and hopefully it will pop up. Give me 1 second. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Good, good. So the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. How many people know that there is such a thing that exists? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult your intelligence. I know we will take the call. So anyway, I just want to make sure that this is something that is, you can take a note of it. And by the way, this presentation will be available on YouTube as well, so you can always redo it, but you're welcome to write down the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And when you're talking about that, there are tons of stuff right here and publication that you can use, and it's absolutely free. While we are talking about this, I also want to mention to you that if you really are not a data person and you need help with that, guess what? You can go to your local library, whether it be if you live in Harris County or maybe Fort Bend County Library, and they'll be more than happy to help you in terms of not only sharing the data or how it is, where to find it, but also they will train you as well. So there are lots of information available here. I would encourage you, let's take a look at it. Industry at a glance, of course, topics, one screen, multi-screen information here, data finder. I would say that this information is absolutely free, but it's not only that, but it's very informative as well. I am going to go back and take a look at another one as well. Occupational Outlook Handbook. And this is where you can really check it out, all different occupational groups. Actually, you can say select the occupation by the median income. You can actually take a look at, browse the occupation, highest paying, fastest growing, most new jobs and fields of degree, and so on and so forth like that. Obviously, this time will not allow us to go into more details, but I would highly encourage you to explore this. Entry-level jobs. Take a look at the breakdown menu by degrees as well. And also, let's see here, by income level. On the job training, there are so much information is available here that you may want to consider this. A number of new jobs. That is definitely something to think about also. Also, job growth rate for specific industry by education as well is going to be very important. So please check it out. And that's why the name of the link is OOH. I think that's what it is. So it's a bls.gov/OOH. And then if you really want to get into the Occupational Outlook Handbook, it's an amazing tool. You can really get into any type of opportunity. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, sometimes we don't think about that, what the jobs are available, where they're available, what the title looks like. So this will help you too. For example, if you're struggling as to brand yourself, you can definitely check this one out and see this will give you a title for your particular branding as well. Take a look at it. So let's see here, accredited, we can check one of those. It will also tell you the work environment, right? And much more details about it, the 2020 median pay. And the BLS continuously updates that information. So don't worry about that old data. It is always going to be available as they update the information. We are going to take a look at that career one stop. This is something that is a part of bls.gov as well. It is, when I say it is part of it, there is a link on the bls.gov, but it's a great opportunity to really take a look at it. Self-employment, 50 plus workers. That a lot of people have some concerns about, where do I go to find a job? I am in my 60s or mid 60s, and so for entry-level job. College students sometimes struggle with that, right? Young adults, military veterans, career changes. How do you pivot? So what are the jobs that I can pivot to? So please take a look at it. What are some of the high-paying jobs? Is there money for training? I think part of the issue is that because these jobs, job site, they are so involved, and it's kind of hard to really go and get into it and analyze it, what is available. But trust me, once you start looking at it, look at the job search, job listings and resumes, interview, and a lot more, right? Find training, program, schools, and certifications, explore careers. What are the skills required for a certain type of jobs, and assess. By the way, there is something right here that's very cool that you may want to take the assessment as well. And they offer free assessment, skills assessment, interest assessment, and to talk about it. So if you're talking about you don't know what you want to do, guess what? You can actually go to the interest assessment and click on it. And there are about 30 quick questions that will help you. And these are very validated assessment that you can take advantage of. It's absolutely free right here on this particular website. So again, the career outlook, part-time jobs that may pay more than $20 per hour, right? Some people are looking for those kind of jobs, and they are distracted because the money is not there. But so you can definitely take a look at all this information right here as you go down with associate degree or less. And if you're looking for part-time jobs, what is available in terms of money, in terms of the opportunities that you have, physical therapist assistants, right? That is something that could be a potential for someone, diagnostic medical sonograms and so forth like that. I've seen people using that because sometimes the personal situation doesn't allow you to really work full-time. Bachelor's degree to enter, and then you have master's degree as well. So again, that is, this information is there. Please take a look at the different headers that we have here, and it will really help you to identify what are you looking for. With that, I am going to go to, let's see, we did this one here. This is something probably I'll share with you, some games and quizzes and so forth like that. It just takes your mind away from while you're looking at the data and so forth like that. This is related to Bureau of Labor Statistics and so forth like that, but something to play around with. And you have a students and you have teachers desk and so forth like that. So some games that might probably give you some insight into it as well. So why use the data for job search, right? A job search can be very challenging, very difficult. I see this day in, day out, but there are resources to improve your chances of finding a new role. I talk to and I speak to very professionals in their field, 15, 20, 30 years of experience, and they're completely lost in terms of, excuse me, let me just put in them. Yeah, they're completely lost as to what is the next steps are, right? The resume has not been updated for many years. So that is a challenge. What kind of data hold insights into the job market and where the job data can be found? I just shared with you all this information there in detail, but again, I won't say in detail, but I at least give you some insight into it. Now, you can always take it to the next level and spending some time. Talk about strategy. Strategy requires time. The strategy requires focus, and the strategy requires some a plan. So you have to spend time. When I ask this question, say, how much time should you spend on a job search on a weekly basis? We encourage people to use at least 20 to 25 hours per week for a job search. Why? Because once you sit down to review this data analysis, it's not like 5 or 10 minutes job. There are lots of other item needs to be reviewed and looked into. How to strategically use widely available data to uncover hidden jobs. So there are the people may say, where do I find hidden jobs? Well, guess what? You can go to LinkedIn and you can connect with people. You can you can do it by search, by companies, by people, by titles of the job, or by specification. If you're looking for a project manager position, just put down project managers plus name of the company, and then you will find. Just go to the companies, period. And then you look into people. It is most likely that you may know 1 or 2 people within the company that you can connect with. And that's where the hidden jobs are. A lot of times the jobs are not even posted. So therefore, the people who work in those companies, they have a little bit of a better leeway inside the company to give you what is ahead, what is coming, what are the new projects that are going to be developed, and so on and so forth like that. So anyway, so my information is available. If you need to contact me, I'm more than happy to help you as well. Away from this, it's a task. Don't get discouraged. I shared with you the 2022 outlook, which is great. And I'll be more than happy to help, not only from the resume point of view, but walking you through this databases as well at a later time. So feel free to do that. And with that, I would like to open up ourselves for questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kaleem. What a great session. Having a strategic plan in place will surely help reduce the anxiety that some people feel when they're job hunting. We do have a few questions that we received from our viewers, and we'd like to start off with this. Do I need to waste time doing the research?
No, start today, start tomorrow morning. Because that is so here's the thing, I'll simplify for you. The question is, do I need to wait, right? Honestly, develop a strategy like exactly what I just said. Item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have it on the first tab of your Excel worksheet, right? So it's visible. Then what is the important thing you need? You need a resume. Here's the problem occurs. So you contact people on LinkedIn and say, hey, listen, Abdul Hamid, I am looking for a job. Guess what Abdul Hamid is going to say? Do you have a resume? I don't have it. I had it it's not been updated yet. So do your job, be proactive, get the resume done, and work with someone who can help you to get it up to speed. That's one thing, because now you have branding on the resume, you have good experiences, and you're projecting yourself as a brand rather than just as a person who worked for a company for a number of years and did certain things, and you got paid for it. So that is the one thing. And the second thing is just focus on the activities and then have an action item. So for item number 1, what do you need to do? You need to find someone who can help you with the resume. Item number 2, you need to probably identify the company's organization that you will work for. Guess what? Good news is that Harris County, Fort Bend County, and other counties north of us, or maybe west of us as well, and they all have libraries. Libraries have data, and they will help you to identify. DNB Hoovers is an excellent database. You can actually identify the size of the company that you want to work for. You can identify the local area, whether be, even though you may live in Greater Houston or Sugar Land area. However, you may want to look for a job in Austin. So you can do that, not only for Houston, but also in Austin as well. You can actually talk about industries. What type of industry are you looking for? You know why? Because there are some oil and gas professionals who are very tied to the oil and gas, but there are finance people who can work in any other industry as well. So think about that as well. And so you can actually pivot your job from oil and gas to IT, and IT to other industries as well, which are growing. And so the third thing would be, take a look at the data, because I say that the resumes and the other things are important because you need to get this thing. But in the meantime, you can start looking at the data like we talked about, bls.gov, because it takes a little bit of time to get familiar with the data. What is where? How do I extract it? What is important for me to do that?
That's great. Brother Kaleem, do you mind going back to the slide which had all the websites listed? Some
Yes.
of our viewers were asking for it so they can jot it down.
Yeah, I think this will be available, right? In what
it will be. They
yeah.
were interested in seeing it right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Also.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Another question we have is, what tips do you have for those people who have gaps in the resume, or for those who are self-employed from their last job? So if recruiters look up the company, they'll find that they're the owner. How big of a concern is this?
So my recommendation is, number one, it depends on the gap. If it is like a couple of months or 3 months type of job, excuse me, gap, don't worry about it. You can, and honestly, it's not called lying, but you can include in the previous job that you had or the prior to that one. But if you were the owner, and Amber, you may want to repeat the question again for that owner type, the question you had. Can you repeat the question again, please?
So if the recruiter looks up the company and finds out that I am the owner, how big of a concern is this?
It's not a concern. I mean, people do business from time to time, and then they close the business and they look for a job based on the market conditions, right? So if you were the owner of a restaurant, for example, guess what happened in 2020 and 21? A lot of restaurants went bankrupt, right? So they were looking for a job. So it's okay. Is that
should you be just upfront that I was the business owner instead of?
Absolutely.
I guess sometimes people say that they are employed rather than saying they were self-employed because they feel like it makes them more marketable. So be honest. Is that what you're saying?
Be honest. You know why? Because as a business owner, you bring a lot of credentials as well, because you are the overseer, you are the manager, you manage the whole business. That includes supply chain, that includes warehousing, that includes, even if maybe on a smaller scale, don't worry about that. But you did manage the business, correct? And so that is very important to really, how do you project your experience? That's what counts. If you just say that, well, I manage the restaurant. But if you say that customer service is a part of that, procurement, supply chain is a part of that, operations itself, and profit and loss is a finance part of it too. So you can take all these items. What did you do? It is a small business compared to a large business. So all the things that you do in the large business or that you do in small business at a different level. However, if you absolutely don't feel comfortable doing that, you can, there's an option for you that you can say that you were the manager or senior manager, and you can do that. But I personally feel like if you had the operator business, think about the assets, think about the experience, think about competencies that you really can bring to your resume. And it may take a little bit of time to do that, but work with somebody to get that out of you. And also, what else did you do? How did you do this? How did you do that? Who did this for you? So there are a lot of positives, I would say, in saying that. Now, you may say that rather than saying I own this particular business, you can say you were the president or vice president or something like that. And that was your title, because when you have an LLC or you have an organization business, that's what you do. That's you are a director maybe in that particular business. So that's okay to write down that title as well. I hope that answers the question.
I'm sure it does. What resources or video playlists are available to learn business etiquette, interview process and preparation, employee benefits, or something like that for new grads?
Can you repeat that, please, again? I missed the first part.
Resources or playlists like video, I guess YouTube videos is what they're trying to ask. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, so there are obviously tons of YouTube videos and so forth like that. You will go crazy watching one after the other. I'll tell you what is important, right? And so very basic soft skills are very, very important. And in fact, I'm thinking about, maybe we'll talk about this also, have a session here in Houston area where we can teach soft skills classes, on what does soft skills means, right? Simply writing a thank you letter after your interview. How do you introduce yourself? for men and women. How do you dress yourself? How do you present yourself? Because it is so interesting to think that we think we know how to present ourselves because we have worked for a company for 10, 15 years, and it doesn't come naturally. Everything has to be presentable. It's no different than cooking, right? If you want to prepare dal makhni or something like that, you know exactly that is different than nargize kofta and stuff like that. So every item has its own recipe, and that's exactly what it is. So job search, don't take it lightly. Job search is a strategy, and I would encourage you to think through the process of how do you brand yourself, number one. How do you present yourself at the interview when they ask you the question, tell me about yourself, and how do you respond to that? How do you have questions at the end of or during the interview process? Those are something, obviously there are certain which is off limits, such as, how many vacation days do I get, or how many vacations, or how much, what are the benefits and so forth like that. So everything has its time. And maybe this is something we may want to do, Amber, later on. Specifically soft skills or what to do's and don'ts of the interview process
Yeah,
based
that's a
on this
great
question.
idea, especially for new graduates or something who don't have that much experience.
Yes,
it's a great
that's true.
suggestion. We do have a couple of more questions. Is there a template for the job search strategy process?
I can share with you a job search strategy process if you can just email me afterwards. And it will walk you through what the important things are for job search strategy.
And what is your email address?
It should be, I tell you what, I will go ahead and add that here if you.
That'd be great, yes.
Me. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And how important is it to have a digital presence? And should I make that part of my strategy?
Digital presence.
I think you kind of touched on that.
Yeah. So give me 1 second here. Let me just make it. Okay. Yeah. So this is my email. It's kalimsayyed@yahoo.com. You can send me that, or you can send me at scholarhiring.com. But I think I use Kaleem Sayyed at this point in time for this purpose. So it's remember we talked about networking. That is a part of networking. So I will share with you an example of a vice president who came to me and he got laid off. First time in 25 years, he got laid off. Never expected that this will happen to him. And so after he landed his job, I invited him to one of my sessions and I said, can you please share your experiences? And one of the things he shared was, you know what, the week or the day I was let go, of course, I came home and I was depressed. Why me? Why now? Why? Because the kids are in college, we have to pay for education and so forth like that. But the important thing that he did, and he shared with everybody, he says, a week was like this, I took it easy. Obviously, I tried to come out of this anxiety and depression type of situation sometimes. And then he said, I need to get up. And he had a very good network of people that he has developed and harvested. He sent it out to all his networks, say, guys, I am in the market and I'm looking for a job. Please help me. In the meantime, he was working with me to get the resume done and get all the resources that I shared with him. And within, I would say probably about a month, a month and a half, he landed another position. He's doing great. It was another vice president position as well. So I hope that helps you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. One more question. What has changed from 2010 to 2022?
Oh my goodness. Branding has changed. The way we interview has changed. The way we apply has changed, right? So there's something called ATS, Applicant Tracking System, that is very, very important. And so for that, your resume, if you have a colorful resume, if you have a resume like this, what I'm sharing right now, for example, you have a column here and column there. And if you upload the resume on a website, it is not going to show up exactly the same way because there are certain codes that are written by the website developer and for the ATS, Applicant Tracking System. That's a whole system actually. So once you upload your resume, it needs to be very clean, clear Word document. And now in 2010, people used to make the decision is who you knew. If I knew Amber and I said, hey, Amber, I understand that you have an opening in your company. And Amber will say, Kaleem, can you send me a resume, please? Guess what? I will send her resume. She will take it to the manager that is going to be hiring. He or she will look at it and say, hey, let's set up an interview with Kaleem. That was the pattern. But in 2020, things have changed dramatically of you have to apply. Even if you know somebody in the company, they will still tell you to go and apply. So don't take it personally, by the way. Always go and apply on the website. Be proactive. So when you're connected with somebody within that company, guess what? You always have a job number and the description of the job. So when the person say, hey, can you tell me what job you applied for? Don't tell them project manager job. Always give them a specific number if that is available and the job description, because there may be 15 job project manager's job. You know, you don't know. So when you have job number, that's important. This is called proactive. I honestly think that the more proactive you are, the better your chances are going to be for that person to help you, because then you create your market value and say, this person, I like to work with this person because the person is proactive. I want to help this person. That is very important. And there are a lot of other things change. May I, Amber, one thing? In terms
Please.
of remote, we never thought about remote in 2010. Nowadays, remote has become part of our lives, you know, and so definitely it has reduced in some cases, in many cases, people like remote work because they don't have to travel in the traffic. They can save on gas money and a lot of other things too. But there are other issues as well in terms of working remote. Is sometimes people like, so those who are introvert, they probably like remote because they can be in a computer sitting down in a corner. But those are extrovert, they really like to shake hands with people and say, you know, have a cooler, water cooler talk. You know, how was the game last night?
That social aspect of things, sure.
Yeah.
And I think even for the introverts, sometimes they realize later on that just being around people sometimes makes that difference also.
Exactly.
But to each their own. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaleem, and thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time and sincerely hope that you benefited from this program. If you guys want to reach out to Mr. Kaleem, his email is on screen. It's kaleemsayed@yahoo.com. That's KALIMSAIYED@yahoo.com. His phone number, you can reach him on that also. It is 281-814-6589. Please remember to follow ISGH Job Networking also on social media. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Please also email us and let us know what topics you'd like to hear about in the future. Dr. Mercy, you had a link that you wanted to share with our guests. I think you can put that in the chat. I'd like to thank everybody else for attending one more time. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.
May I say something before we end? So one of the important things that we didn't talk about is mental health. Physical health is and how you eat, right? Because what you eat and how you eat, because you're working from home, and many of you do. And so it's very important to be aware of it. So take frequent breaks during the day. Develop some habits to get out and take a walk out in the open. And if your protocol allows you to meet with somebody over coffee or something like, it's always good to meet someone and get the ideas together, because it's one thing to meet like what we are doing right now versus it's another thing to be out in the open and have a cup of coffee or have a meal or something like that, because it's so powerful for you and your mental health and physical health. So don't lose sight of it. That's my reminder for me first and for everybody else too. Thank you very much.
That's a great reminder. Thank you so much for that. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Have a great evening.